Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition on If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking. I am your host, Archie Mitchell, of course, and this is another one of those weeks where you have stopped by to hear me spew my venom, my hate, and my love for the world of professional wrestling. And I got to be honest with you guys, there wasn't a whole lot to hate this week, so you're in for a treat. Yes, there will be a grinds my gears at the ending of the show, but I promise you it won't be as heartfelt as the other ones, although it will be directed towards one person and one person only. This week we will be speaking about NXT and AEW's Fighter Fest Night 1 for Dynamite. It is their go-to show before they get to their next pay-per-view. Both shows were fantastic, although I will not get into them just yet because it is time for you to pop open your favorite frosty beverage and join me as we get into some quick hits. So, first on the list is a sad one, as Paul Orndorff, Mr. Wonderful, passed away this week. Paul had been battling a lot of different difficulties over the last year or so. Pictures were released of him not looking his absolute best. And then some pictures were released of him actually looking like he rebounded and was doing better. But Paul Orndorff did pass away this past Tuesday. Our hearts, our wishes, and our best go out to the Orndorff family. And we hope that they know that Paul touched our hearts and was a fantastic wrestler inside and outside of the ring. One of the best, in my opinion, to never hold a world heavyweight title in the WWF or WCW. A Hall of Famer and someone who, whenever I watched him wrestle as a heel, I believed it and I enjoyed what he was putting down. One of my favorite tag teams, Pretty Wonderful, Paul Orndorff and Paul Roma. It was unbelievable. It really hurt me to hear that Paul passed away. And again, our thoughts and wishes go out to his family. Second quick hit of the evening, a young lady by the name of Kelsey Heather pulls a Rick Rude. She appeared on Monday Night Raw with Bobby Lashley as one of his women in a backstage segment and in the ring with MVP before Raw went off the air on Monday night. And then she also appeared on AEW Dark Elevation. And I mean, that's really something to be happy about. You are the only other person besides Rick Rude to be on two wrestling shows on the same night. Now, this is not earth-shattering like when Rick Rude did appear on both Monday Nitro and Monday Night Raw, but still pretty funny that the WWE didn't realize that Kelsey was appearing on AEW Dark. And I mean, I'm sure AEW figured out that she was going to be on Raw on Monday Night Live because Dark is a taped show, but I'm sure they used that to their advantage as well. But it's still a pretty funny and small bit of newsworthy item that I thought that we should hit upon. Number 3, Chelsea Green, the fiance of Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder, formerly in the WWE, formerly of Impact Wrestling and Lucha Underground, debuted in Ring of Honor at their Best in the World pay-per-view. And I'm very happy for Chelsea. I think that WWE was wrong for firing her, and I think that she deserved a better shot at being in the company because they didn't really use her in NXT, and they really didn't use her in the main roster. And then when she finally got used, she accidentally got injured, and then poof, she was gone. And what I like about her going to Ring of Honor as opposed to AEW or Impact, those two companies are very oversaturated right now with talent. And Impact is waiting for Slammiversary to bring in some bigger names as well from the chunk that just got fired. So I think that in Ring of Honor, she can flourish. I think that in the NWA, she can flourish. But I think that in Impact or in AEW, she may get lost in the shuffle or get put into a storyline that she's not really featured that much in, but just kind of in the background. Of course, if she went back to Impact, she could always go back to being Laurel Van Ness, the hot mess. And I mean, Matt Cardona is there, so it would make sense. But I like her going to Ring of Honor first and really waiting on an opportunity to debut in AEW or Impact. But good on her. I'm happy to see that she found a job and landed on her feet. And our final quick hit of the evening, the NXT call-ups and one demotion for the week. That's right. Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox debuted over on SmackDown this past Friday night, and they defeated the WWE Women's Champions. They keep wanting to call it WWF. Maybe it's because they've been on a slice of time too much with Nate Maxim. But yes, they beat Natalya and Tamina in a non-title match, which was great for them. I'm happy to see Shotzi get the call-up. Tegan deserves it as well. And then we saw a promo vignette for the soon-to-be debuting Toni Storm on SmackDown as well. So SmackDown is going to be taking 3 of NXT's big women's wrestlers, former tag team champions, NXT UK champion. Tegan Nox is still a bit young and is on the way coming up. So good on SmackDown for doing that. But one demotion went down as Mandy Rose will now no longer be on Monday Night Raw with Dana Brooks. She will be back on NXT, and this is full time. This was not a one-off. She did appear on NXT this week. She came out. She watched a women's match, which we'll get to in a bit, and then she spoke with Frankie Monet. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Golden Goddess does in NXT, why she, there will be stories coming out of why she was possibly demoted. Although I don't look at NXT as a demotion. NXT, in my opinion, is its own brand and is right up there with Raw and SmackDown, if not above them. So it'll just be interesting to see why she was sent back to NXT. So speaking of NXT, we move into our first preview highlights of the night of NXT. And we're going to be sticking with the highs and lows, just like we did the last couple of weeks. I like this format. I hope you guys do as well. And we're going to go forward with it a little while longer. So NXT begins with an opening package from last week, and no one does it better than WWE. I could say this over and over and over again. No one does it better. This package showed you everything you needed to know that if you did miss the Great American Bash, well, here you go. You can see what's going on. We then get started with Dakota Kai and Ember Moon. Decent back and forth match for 13 minutes as our opener. Dakota looked great, but the real story here is what's Ember Moon going to be doing without Shotzi Blackheart? Ember was sent back to NXT after we thought she was furloughed with a lot of other talent. She's done great since she's been back, but she's mostly been in a tag team with Shotzi Blackheart. And now with Shotzi's call-up, it's just going to be interesting to see how Ember does and what she's going to be doing from here on out. After the match, Xia Li comes to the ring and challenges Raquel Gonzalez for the NXT Women's title. I'm interested to see this new reinvigorated Xia Li against this amped-up Raquel Gonzalez. I'm all for it. The first vignette of the evening for LA Knight making Cameron Grimes his butler airs. It's fantastic. Knight is having his Grimes' beard trimmed and his hair cut and putting him in a tuxedo to make him look like a traditional butler. And Grimes is all for it. He's like, I look great. And you see Knight just brush it off. And we go to our first commercial. And then we come back to Karrion Kross hitting the heavy bag. Joe comes backstage and tells him that he needs to listen to Joe tonight. Joe gets into Kross's face. And I'm loving the way that these two keep crossing paths. No pun intended. And I don't know what the end result is going to be, but I can't wait to see exactly what happens. Beth Phoenix gives Indy Hartwell some much-needed advice earlier in the day as the Way entered the arena and tells her to follow her heart and go after Dexter Lumis. If this progresses the Indy and Dexter Lumis angle, I'm all for it. And then we get Saraya versus Gigi Dolan, the former Priscilla Kelly. Now, I am a Priscilla Kelly mark. She's a fantastic wrestler. you leave all of the BS that she did in other shows with the tampon and, a lot of the crazy things that she did in shows, and you get down to her actual wrestling ability. She had a match with Thunder Rosa about 8 months ago that was fantastic. Unbelievable. She deserves to be on NXT now full time, and I hope with the call ups that this means she will be. And it may have only been 5 minutes, but these two women packed a lot into their time. Great transitions from their offense to their defense, and a hard hitting match, which Saraya got the win in. And this was the match that Mandy Rose showed up in, watching both Saraya and Gigi, and kind of leaves you wondering, is she there to scout talent and maybe is now going to be a manager, or is she scouting her next opponent? Either way, seems like it's a good thing for her. Escobar versus Loomis, very good 10-minute match that showed off both guys' styles. And we then get some interaction between Escobar and Hit Row, which was great. But what I was going to be saying later, one of the lows of the evening was that I thought Santos Escobar just kind of was muddling around with no real opponent or storyline. So if they're going to put him in a storyline with Hit Row, great. I retract my statement then. That does no longer need to be a low. Thank you, NXT, for doing something about what I thought was going to be bad for Santos Escobar. I'm not a big fan of Hit Row, but I like Isaiah Swerve Scott. He is the North American champion. If we get Escobar versus Scott for the North American title, more power to him. Indy then tries to carry Dexter Loomis from the ring after he lost to Santos Escobar, and she falls, and they both land on top of each other. Candice LeRae comes in like a worried mother, pulling poor Indy Hartwell away, and it's a laugh riot. If you didn't see it, go out of your way to see it. It is fantastic. Second vignette with LA Knight and Cameron Grimes, and these are gold. I think Grimes is getting under LA's skin by having him not be upset about having to do all these chores. He's very, much so laughing about it and enjoying himself, and Knight just isn't having it. We then get our first NXT Breakout Star Tournament matchup, and it's Hudson versus Jiro. Only putting this in the high because of Hudson. He did a fantastic job for the 8 minutes that these two were in the ring. But Jiro is not my cup of tea. Why is this guy wearing a jacket while wrestling? What's the deal there? Somebody, please explain to me exactly what's going on here, if you could. And then we get Thatcher and Ciampa apparently going to be put into a feud with Lorcan and Dunn. And if that is the next feud, I'm on board. Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa are incredible in the ring. But here's something most people might not know. They get even better when you put them in the ring with guys who can actually wrestle, like Oney Lorcan and Pete Dunne. They had a great match with MSK. I can't imagine they're not going to have a banger with Dunne and Lorcan. Then we get Frankie Monet stealing the Robert Stone brand, and this has a lot of potential. Elias seems to be done with Robert, and she walks away. And then Frankie comes and gets into it with Jessica McKay, pulls her away from the match that she was having. And this is one of the lows again I was going to speak about. We had Carter and Catarizano taking on Aliyah and Kamei. It was not the worst, but not the best. I feel like we've seen this match 4 times. Frankie Monet, though, goes out of her way to make it as best as possible after that, in my opinion. And I hope she's stealing the Robert Stone brand, because I'd like to see Robert Stone with somebody else, maybe on the main roster, and Frankie having her own little stable, doing the best that she possibly can. Joe's backstage chat with the Way and face-to-face with Pete Dunne was great. Joe, as an enforcer for William Regal, has been as best as it possibly can be. And seeing all these guys get in Joe's face, like Dunne and Cross and everyone else, I want Joe back in the ring. And I want these matches. So I'm hoping this is short-term for Joe being Regal's assistant. Knight and Grimes have their last vignette of the evening, and Cameron Grimes is paying a young boy to do some of his chores. This pisses off LA Knight, who berates Grimes, who's just laughing and enjoying himself in his underwear. These got better and better as the night progressed. Thank you, WWE, for letting this storyline go on. And then Adam Cole comes out to cut a promo like only he can. And he rips into Kyle O'Reilly for his interview earlier, which I'm not sure how I feel about Kyle O'Reilly's promo earlier. It wasn't a high or a low, but it was just Kyle basically saying what we know. Kyle needs to get back on the ball and start winning again. Then he rips into Samoa Joe and then is interrupted by Bronson Reed. Now, I thought Reed was going to the main roster after losing the North American title. But if he's sticking around and going one-on-one with Adam Cole, then let's see it. I like the future. It looks bright. And if this is what NXT has planned for us with Escobar and Swerve Scott and Cole and Bronson Reed, Ciampa and Thatcher versus Lorcan and Dunn, bring it on. Bring it on, because this is what NXT needs and always needs, is a revitalization of all of their storylines. And then we go to our main event. It is Johnny Gargano versus Karrion Kross for the NXT Heavyweight Championship. And this is another solid main event from NXT. This could have been a pay-per-view matchup, just like last week's, just like the weeks before. NXT does main events very well. And Gargano did everything he could, but Kross proved why he's the champion. He's big, he's imposing, but he also knows how to wrestle. He knows kickboxing, and he knows submission style. So it doesn't matter where you kind of sliver away from him, he's going to get right back under there and get you. So this was an excellent 15-minute match. And then Kross taking Samoa Joe out and choking him out leaves so many unanswered questions, and I like that about this episode. It's almost like those old episodes of the Batman Adam West show, tune in next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Well, that's what they were doing here. They left us on a cliffhanger. What is Joe and Regal now going to do about Karrion Kross putting his hands on Joe? I want to see it. A couple of other lows that were on the show. The Diamond Mines interview was meh. I'm not liking this stable. And then they involved Bobby Fish, which I think is bad. Bobby Fish should not be involved with the Diamond Mine in a match or anything of the sort. I understand they need opponents. Give them enhancement talent for right now. Give them the guy wearing the sport jacket earlier tonight, Jiro. They should not be doing this to a guy like Bobby Fish. And then the Rust versus Fish, it was a 3-minute long match. Not good at all. Even the fans in attendance chanted, that was crap. I mean, when you've got NXT fans actually chanting that was crap at an NXT show, you know you've got problems, ladies and gentlemen. And then Kushida saves Fish from a beatdown, and I'm not happy about that either, because now you're involving the Cruiserweight champion with Bobby Fish to take on the Diamond Mine, and this is going to end badly. Just my feelings on it. And now we move to AEW Dynamite Fyter Fest Night 1, ladies and gentlemen. And the highs, starting us off with a match this week, Jon Moxley versus Carl Anderson for the IWGP United States Championship. And what an opener. This was as solid as they come. For 14 minutes, both guys beat the hell out of each other. Jim Ross said it was a slobber knocker, and I agree, JR. That's exactly what this was. It was really good to see Carl Anderson get some singles time in and not just be a tag team wrestler like he has been for quite some time. And Moxley retains the title. And now, here's the twist. We then go to Lance Archer challenging Jon Moxley for next week's episode, Fyter Fest Night 2, in a Texas death match for the U.S. title. Yes, please. The last time these two guys fought in Japan, they had a barn burner. It was absolutely amazing. So, yes, please, AEW, give us Archer versus Moxley next week in a Texas death match for the IWGP United States title. I happen to love that New Japan is letting Moxley defend the United States title in the U.S. and on AEW because he can't really go back and forth to Japan right now. So, yeah, I'm loving that. Andrade then sends a message to the Death Triangle, and this could end up being good. I like that they gave him subtitles because you can understand some of his English, but then he always slips back into speaking Spanish, which is fine. I understand the guy has a little bit of a problem speaking English. It's not a big deal because what he does say gets over. And then with the subtitles now, it at least allows you to say, okay, let's go. Brian Cage then took on Ricky Stark, and this was brilliantly booked. Cage was a true powerhouse and really just threw Ricky all over the ring. But Team Taz screwed Brian Cage out of the FTW title. Powerhouse Hobbs and Hook make sure that Ricky takes the win and is now the FTW champion. Team Taz has had their problems. It's been Brian Cage's fault, I guess. And now Ricky is the FTW champion. Okay. Ricky Stark is a great wrestler. You want to put a fictional belt on him that Taz created over 20 years ago? Not a problem. Go on with it. And then we have Cody Rhodes coming out and calling out Malachi Black. And Cody was once again his normal, energetic self, passionate in his promo. And then here comes Black on the screen. This is what was needed to get this feud started, in my opinion. Some explanation and then a good old-fashioned fight. I hated seeing the referees break it up so quickly, but great way to start this feud. And I want to see, will Cody put Black over, or is it going to be another Cody feud where it's all about Cody? Either way, I'm waiting for it. Santana and Ortiz then pucked out Tully Blanchard. Or did they? Why is this a high? Because Tully has great spirit for a man his age. He's still an ass kicker. And seeing him get up after Santana and Ortiz almost took him out and saying, oh, don't worry, I'll get my guys, that is Horseman Tully to the T. I love it. We then get an interview with Adam Page, and it actually turns into a fight between the Elite and the Dark Order. Matt Jackson finally said something with meaning in a promo as he went face-to-face with Cage, which then started the fight. And then this gets pulled into a 5-on-5 for title shots. And this is something I want right now. Basically, Adam Page and the Dark Order will take on Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and the Good Brothers in a 5-on-5, elimination match. If the Dark Order wins, Adam Page gets his match with Kenny Omega for the AEW title, and the Dark Order get a shot at the AEW tag team titles in the Young Bucks. But if the Elite win, then not only do the Dark Order not get a shot at the tag team titles, Adam Page will not get a shot at the world title. He will drop to the bottom of the list and will not be able to be the number one contender. I love that, and I want it. I'm hoping they make this sooner rather than later, but we have to wait and see. Another cliffhanger there, but I'm all for it. I thought we were getting the same Jericho promo from last week, but then Shawn Spears clocked Jericho in the throat with a chair, and MJF showed up to let Jericho know that next week he'll be taking on Shawn Spears in a match where Spears can use the chair, but Jericho can't. It's one of Jericho's labors in order to get a match with MJF. Not bad. Like I said, I thought this was going to just be another Jericho promo, a throwaway promo, where he says that he's the demo god and everything, but no, this worked. We then get Christian Cage and Matt Hardy, and I thought I was going to hate this match. But both of these guys still got it in the ring. I have to give the devil his due. Matt Hardy was good. Christian Cage was great. This was a great, perfect battle of two veterans who showed it all for 20 minutes in that ring. And then seeing Jurassic Express come to the aid of Christian to save him from the Matt Hardy brand. I know sometimes AEW has way too many stables and way too much going on. But if used correctly to put over guys like John Silver and number 10 of the Dark Order and Jungle Boy, Private Party, Luchasaurus, keep it up. If this is your way of getting this many guys on TV and actually letting them show off, keep it up, AEW. Britt Baker then cut a good promo, and it would seem like she's now a tweener or a face. I really can't tell, but it really doesn't matter because she's still good when she's cutting that damn promo. And Vicky does not seem to like it very much. Vicky then has an explosion backstage with Nyla Rose. These two are going to meet down the road. I kind of hope Britt retains because I think she deserves a lengthy title reign. But again, it's one of those things you really can't tell. And then we get Moxley backstage, and he is accepted the challenge of Lance Archer next week. And I'm happy. I cannot wait for next week. A Texas death match between Lance Archer and Jon Moxley in Texas for the U.S. title. Yes, please. Like I said earlier, let's do it. We go to Sammy Guevara taking on a young man whose last name is Ute. That's all I got. I'm wondering if he's the Ute that Joe Pesci was talking about in My Cousin Vinny. The two Utes. I'm not sure. But this was quick, but it was great. It was great seeing Sammy wrestle someone in his weight division. What I mean by that, it allowed him to show off that high-flying style that we don't get to see him really do when he's in a match with Shawn Spears or MJF. This was a good matchup, 5 minutes long, but it was really nice to see Sammy pick up the win and start that rolling into the next direction of possibly getting a TNT title shot, or who knows what's going to happen for the young man. Then it was main event time. Darby Allin versus Ethan Page, and it was incredible. For 20 minutes, these two young men made me feel everything that they said in their promo last week throughout this match. You saw the determination and the clawing from Darby Allin and the upset anger and trying to push back down of Ethan Page because he feels he made Darby Allin. These two guys, both of them, put their bodies on the line, and it was great to see Darby Allin win. That ending with the coffin drop onto the coffin and through Ethan Page. I know what I said there because he went through Ethan Page. It was absolutely awesome. And I kind of hope that this feud is not over. It was funny seeing Fan Jesus in the crowd, and Sting coming to Darby's aid and take out Scorpio Sky was good too. But this match, these two men, they killed it in that ring, ladies and gentlemen. As for the lows of AEW, Miro's promo that, once again, I couldn't understand. This guy really needs Lana as his mouthpiece or a manager, and I do not like what he did with the AEW title. It's now a white strap with purple and green on the belt itself. Not good. And then the Penelope Ford versus Yuka Sakazaki matchup. This was cringe for me. It was cringe. This should have been a dark or elevation matchup. Why? Well, because I realized they wanted to reintroduce Yuka, but Ford just botched badly through the whole match, and Yuka looked and seemed out of place. Not what I wanted to see on this episode of AEW, but one bad match is okay. No big deal. Both shows were great. If I had to pick one, though, I give AEW the slide this week into being the number one show if they were going head-to-head. Based on that main event and Page versus Adam Page and Kenny Omega's interaction, what we got leading up there, and the opening bout, with the opener with Moxley and Carl Anderson, and both shows have a lot going on, a very bright future, and I'm happy to see it. AEW gets the push this week, but go out of your way to watch both because they were neck and neck. And now it is time for Nate Maxon's favorite part of the show, what grinds my gears. And I'm going to keep this short and sweet because I mentioned it on an episode of the We Can't Wrestle podcast with Nate Maxon last night, so I will not dwell on it. But last week during AEW, a fan rushed the ring and tried to get at MJF and Chris Jericho. He then went on Twitter and said, "What did you guys think of my debut?" He called out Jim Cornette and members of the Jim Cornette podcast, saying that, he was doing it for them, and telling wrestlers that they're no longer safe, and now that fans are back in the arena, that, he's going to get at them. Listen to me for a split second here, wrestling fans. Don't be a dumb fuck. You lay your money down to go to a wrestling event. Go there and enjoy it as a fan. Don't rush the ring. Don't look to give the wrestlers a hard time. If you don't like what you're seeing, wait till the next match or boo. If you really don't like what you're seeing, get up and walk out. Ask for a refund. Don't rush the ring like this idiot. This man thought that he was doing something right. I don't know what in his brain got disconnected and he decided, oh, this is a good idea. Jim Cornette condemned him and let him know where it's at. The ring is sacred for the wrestlers and managers. You do not enter the ring unless you want an ass kicking. And in my opinion, this guy, had it been, I want to say this, and I don't mean this as a knock to AEW, but had this been a WWE event, one of the wrestlers would have whipped this guy's ass, because we've seen Batista, we've seen CM Punk, we've seen John Cena. When fans try to rush the ring, they get their hands on them and they lay them down with a shot so that the security guards get to him. The security got to this guy first, and maybe it's for the best, but this guy is lucky that one of the boys didn't get his hands on him and knock his ass back to next week. Shame on you. And I really hope that you are banned from ever attending a wrestling show ever again, whether it be an indie promotion, whether it be AEW, WWE, Impact, New Japan. I don't care where. I hope they give your picture out to security guards and let them know, do not let this idiot, this dumbass, this dumb fuck into our arenas anymore. Because that was downright embarrassing. So, on that note, thank you for joining me as always. Continue to support WrestleNet Radio and all of the wonderful shows that we have on it, like Reliving the Extreme, the We Can't Wrestle podcast, A Slice in Time, The Year That Was, and of course, this show right here. I will see you next week for another edition of If You Smell What the Arch is Cooking.